Right everyone, today we're going to get cruise control installed on the Polo. This is a 9N3, I'm pretty sure it's the same process for a 9N. But yeah, I'm going to start by disconnecting the battery. Now yeah, with the guide on Clubpolo, it doesn't really give you an order for removal, but it's really helpful for the install. So I'm going to start with the steering wheel, and then clocks, stalks, and then I'll go centre console, and then everything else. Alright, bags off, get an M14 multi-spline, chuck it in there and loosen your bolt up. Wheels off, and that is looking mighty crusty. The sort of cowling, I think it's called, unclips from the top, and then you've got two, I think they're T20s, T25s maybe, in there, and then the bottom part will come off. So with the lower cowling, there ended up being one T20 down there, and both of those are T20s as well. And then you can just sort of stretch it around the key barrel and get it straight. And then this whole piece comes out by yanking this trim piece forward, and it'll come out. And then the next two bolts are those two there for the clock. So yeah, got the two bolts removed for the clocks, and then to get this out, you undo that little Allen up there, and then pry this sort of plastic connector up, like pry it up against this, and then you can pull the plug out. And then that's the clocks out. You have got to yank them pretty hard to get the sort of, you got to like rock it forwards, and to get the back part off that, you got to pull it pretty hard. But then aside from that, it's just that connector on the right, that on the left. You got to pull this little purple clip forward, and they just pull out. But now it's onto the centre console. Two down here. You got to pry the cup holder out. Actually, I should probably start by pulling the stereo out. Yep, so centre console's free. You got two bolts up there. You can sort of rip this plastic tray off with a screwdriver. Like, you put it in the gap and then pry it up. And then you've got one screw down there. Don't know if you can see it. Two back there, two there. There isn't one in this side for me. There never was from the factory, so I just assume there isn't one there. Now that's all out. You got two 10mm there, and then two T20s at the back as well. So I went ahead and removed the heater controls, and then there's two T20s down there, and then there's three all along here, three along there, and then two holding the OBD port in, just there. And then you can yank this piece forward, which needs to come out anyway, and it's just easier if you do them first rather than leave them on the dash. Yeah, let's go ahead and remove this back piece. It just pops up, no screws. And then lift this piece up, because you've already undone those two screws, and pop the gear gaiter up out of the way. And then you should be able to sort of diagonal the gear gaiter, and then pull the what do you call it, like centre console over it. Yeah, and then there's just one connector for the cigarette lighter. So now you've got centre console out of the way. There's these sort of storage bins you've got to remove, and there's one bolt there, one there, and yeah, you just remove those and the full thing comes out. So yeah, now you've got both of those pieces out. There's two T20s here and here. They're the strong type, so I assume they hold a fair bit of the dash in. And then yeah, all right, so around here you've got, let me get a better angle. Around here you've got one T20 up there, you got a T20 here, like inset, and you got a T20 there, and then there's also one down there you got to get out, and then you can sort of start to feel the dash giving up a little bit, even here. Now you just want to get rid of the A-pillar trims, get them out. Now you can get over to the passenger side and get this bolt out and that one in there. I believe you don't actually have to take that one out, so sorry about that, forget that for the other side. Oh yeah, and that boy down there. Next you got to get your glove box out. There's three screws across the top and then three along the bottom. They're just like sort of in between or next to the ones that held on the knee thingies. And then it frees up. The next step is get in there and disconnect the airbag connector. you just flip that down and then pop a screwdriver in there, lift that up, and then it comes out. And then there's whereabouts is it? Just there. There's a screw there and a screw there on the other side, and that holds the airbag to these sort of support plates. And then after that, I mean, the dash is feeling very hopeful now, so I'll see if I can get it out now. Yeah, turns out that was it. Just remember that right before you take it out, take your headlight switch out on that little bloke, because if you don't, then you'll just yank them straight out. But yeah, that was a piece of piss. That wasn't bad at all. Yeah, just go for it, because you'll be able to do it. If I'm able to do it, you'll be able to do it. Mint. Yeah, you should be able to see it down there. That's the white plug, just there. That's the white plug that you got to take out to run the single wire into. And then where else is there? I'll locate them all in a sec, but I'm going to start off by doing this and putting the 6 pins into this, because it seems like, you know, then I can get rid of a bulk of the cable. So that's what you want to be left with, pin 26 to pin 31. Obviously 31 being at the end, and then 26 being just after where it says 25. And yeah, nice and neat. That's all good. By the way, it took me like way too long than I want to admit to realise how you get this off. It sort of slides off that way. I was just stabbing at it with a screwdriver, but you got to push this piece up and then it slides off to the side, and then you can just run the cables fine. But just make sure they're nice and neatly routed, because otherwise they might snag on that, and that's never good. Now that's all complete, I just want to snug this up sort of near the factory loom like that, and then I'm going to go for the infamous bulkhead plug, followed by the sort of weird, you know, endless cable that has no end on it that you've got to splice into another cable. And then obviously I'll do this last, because it's just a plug, you just plug it in. So yeah, got the white plug out. You've got to sort of pull that little rubber band thing off and then slide the metal clip to the left, and then you can pull the plug out after you've done that. All right, great progress. So got the wire plumbed into there, that put in, the little clip slid back over, and I've got the rubber band back round as well. And then down here I've got the plug plugged in, and I've soldered the cable to the blue wire off the back of pin 4. And it's a good little tip to put a bit of heat shrink, something thick and like, you know, nice and resilient behind there, so that when you solder it, it doesn't affect any other wires, because obviously that causes a short. I'll still put electrical tape around it, but still, good little tip so you don't burn through other wires. Yeah, just wax a bit of electrical tape over it and then stuck the end down. Now you're ready to start putting the whole dash and car back together. I'll obviously start off with the fuse box cover, and then work my way up from there. Dash is back in, just positioned loosely so I can adjust it around all those wires and the ones down there and everything. Managed to get the dash sitting nice. Make sure you don't snag these cables up like underneath here, and keep this one out of the way as well, because it likes to get stuck behind there. Just make sure you yank all these out, because on my one especially, I think it had the touch phone kit at some point, because it's got all this excess stuff on it. And this one, like, that's not on the normal ones, I don't think. So yeah, just make sure all that gets out of here, and as long as you can touch the screw holes with the locators that easily, should mean that there's no cables trapped anywhere under here. But yeah, now it's time to just start throwing screws at it. Yeah, it's actually sitting quite nice for a first attempt at taking a dash out and putting it back in. Just got a few little bits in, got the clocks in, heater controls, and next I've got to separate the clock spring off of the stalks themselves so I can chuck them on cruise control ones. Yep, sorry, forgot to record the end bit, but once you got that clock spring swapped over, everything else is just an exact reversal of what you did in the start. There's nothing else you really need to worry about other than coding it in. I'm going to link all of the Clubpolo documents and everything, and there's also a guide on how to take the dash out. It's all in German, but you can just follow the pictures if you get lost at any point. But as long as you follow exactly what I did, everything in my car was completely stock, so it will be exactly the same. Cheers for watching anyway.